Welcome back to Hard Money. Joining me now is author of Price of Tomorrow, entrepreneur, and general partner at Ego Death Capital, Jeff Booth. Jeff, so great to see you.
Great to see you too, Natalie.
We're going to be focusing some of the show on housing. And in this current system that is built on credit and requires inflation, the cost of real estate has really become unaffordable for a lot of people. But you envision something different, deflation under a Bitcoin standard. Can you tell us what the Bitcoin standard would help with when it comes to affording a house these days?
Yeah, housing has been used as a store of value to protect people from the inflation rate, and what ends up happening is more and more people trying to escape that their money losing value or racing into housing as a store of value, and concentrating more and more, and capital is racing to that as well. So large funds are investing in real estate and competing with home buyers for that real estate, not as a utility but as a store of value. What Bitcoin changes in that whole paradigm is priced in Bitcoin, housing will fall to its utility value over time. So it actually makes housing more affordable for people to live in. But that's measured in Bitcoin. In the existing fiat system, if you measure in the existing fiat system, assuming there's more and more monetary easing, housing will continue to rise in that. It'll just lose value in Bitcoin.
And one of the things you talk about is how that really contributes to more and more wealth concentration. But why are politicians so afraid of deflation?
Because the entire credit-based system we live in would collapse and collapse spectacularly with deflation. And probably that's why you have to have a separate system solving the problem instead of the system. The system can't solve the problem from the system. And what we measure everything that we live in from that system, which is really built on manipulation of money. And every other economic consequence is sitting in that system. And you can imagine we wouldn't, even us as voters, we wouldn't vote for a politician to let the entire system collapse and every bank fail. That would be a catastrophe. That there would be a lot of human suffering in that. And so the system must, no matter if you're left or right, whatever political ideology you have, the system must continue to print money over time and make this problem worse from the system. And Bitcoin is a different system that competes on that system from outside the system. And and as I've said many times, it's a bridge to the other side because we can't solve the problem from the system.
Yeah, we need that parallel system. Well, CPI is 9.1%, but real estate across the country over the last 2 years with monetary expansion has gone up 30, 40, 50% in some cities. Now we're finally seeing that reverse a little bit. Is that a sign of a recession, Jeff?
Yeah, we're in a recession, and it's going to turn into a depression, unless the Fed pivots really quickly. Last week, when you saw markets reverse, it was really on Powell's comment that said we're watching for a slowdown in economic activity. And that sets him up for a pivot at his Jackson Hole meeting at the end of August. And whether he pivots or not, it has massive consequences for what the U.S. looks like and what the rest of the world looks like. Because unless there's a pivot soon, the economic consequence of not pivoting means tax revenue falls, debt to GDP explodes. You turn into a debt crisis, a sovereign debt crisis, with essentially the currency that is the backing currency of the world. And so this has a lot of implications worldwide, and why the whole world is watching when a number of people get together and destroy currency to run all of other economic value. You kind of realize we're well past this movie ending well.
Well, another thing that a lot of people are watching is unemployment. I know you have your finger on the pulse of so many different companies. You talk to a lot of entrepreneurs and executives. What's happening with unemployment?
Well, unemployment is a lagging indicator, and again, just about every company I'm involved in is and many that I'm aware of, a finger on the pulse, are talking about layoffs. And if there is a credit contraction, if the credit contraction adds up any more time, there's going to be a boatload of layoffs hitting the market. As those layoffs start to accelerate, those people all have mortgages that they can't pay as well, into housing declining in value, and it sets up a very real credit crisis that accelerates. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. On once that credit crisis starts to accelerate, it's harder and harder to stop it. And similar to 2008, and then similar to 2020, what stopped it is way more monetary easing and way more exponential debt creation created each cycle. And this one would take a lot more than the last two to be able to solve, specifically if it gets too far down the road.
It's hard to imagine the bubble getting even bigger, but really that's what's required under this system, right? Jeff, last thing I want to talk to you about is this article that you're working on, which I think is so important given, every day on the news, they kind of conflate Bitcoin with crypto on all the news shows. So why are you writing an article specifically touching on why Bitcoin is very different from DeFi, Web3, and cryptocurrency at large?
My thesis is money is only information. We don't actually want more money. We want more of what we believe money buys us. So when the entire system is built on kind of manipulation of money, which is the manipulation of information, then society looks through that misinformation and they become confused. And every single person in that thinks they have better information than everybody else. And they're all looking through that misinformation, trying to understand. And at the same time as that's happening, you have a new protocol level technology being built on Bitcoin. And protocols are really hard to understand as well. And so what people are getting caught into is a whole bunch of Ponzi schemes and frauds, really, in DeFi, in the DeFi space, because of that confusion. And so I wanted to just write an article kind of giving a simple framing on how are they different, why are they different, and what it would look like in a world that was having that misinformation. Why would people be susceptible to getting scammed with that misinformation?
We hope you enjoyed that interview. Make sure that you like and subscribe to the Swan Bitcoin YouTube page so you don't miss out on any hard money content.